Okay, fans, Saturday afternoon in Lake Charles, Louisiana, the Jacks make the trip over from Thibodaux after sweeping Nichols and now have to deal with a very tough McNeese squad that took Northwestern State to 5 sets on Thursday night. And I'm pleased to have new head coach Ashleigh Fitzgerald with us. Now, Ashleigh, this is sort of a returning to Lake Charles for you, correct? You were an assistant here for 3 years. Is that right?
That's right. I was an assistant here. My husband was an assistant soccer coach at the time, and we were boyfriend-girlfriend then. And then I went to Springfield, Missouri to coach at a D2 school, Drury University, up there. And luckily enough, he got to come and coach at Missouri State, which is a Division I school in Springfield. And when this job opened up, they happen to have another soccer position open too. So my husband's the associate head coach on the girls soccer team, and I got to come back and be head coach here. So
y'all moved together.
We moved together, right? And that never happens. It's so hard to, and we coach in the same season, so that's kind of weird too. But to get to move back and forth together is pretty awesome.
So, when you came back to Lake Charles, was there anything majorly different to you about the city? Did you still remember where you were? Was there anything about the campus that looked different to you after being gone for a few years?
Well, when I got here in 2006, and that was the year after Hurricane Rita. So, we didn't even play in here for a year or two. We played over in Sulphur. And, the town still looked a little sad and felt a little sad. And, with the distance between that storm and now, town looks a lot better. It's the fastest growing town in Louisiana, city in Louisiana. Industry's booming. It's like $64 or $74 billion worth of industry. So, it's a cool up-and-coming place to live right now. And the school is reflecting that. The campus looks better. The groundskeeping crew has really stepped it up a notch. We got people to help us fix up our gym a little bit. And, it's a cool place to be right now.
Some of the readers that have read articles during the years that I've written about McNeese know that I've always felt like McNeese hasn't gotten enough credit during various years. When you were here as an assistant with Dale Starr, did you guys kind of feel that way that in the years, because I know during the years that you were here, that the club was very successful. Did you always feel like the conference just didn't recognize McNeese volleyball the way it should?
I think there was a time when we were in divisions, East and West, and when Texas State and UT Arlington were in the league and Texas San Antonio, that the West got all the glory because the West was just a little tougher. There's not a lot of high school volleyball in Louisiana. We can't recruit locally. Everybody I'm bringing in next year is from Houston. Most of my squad right now is from Houston. So, I think everybody just assumed because we were on the East that we weren't quite up to snuff. And now that we're not in divisions, and with adding Central Arkansas has been such a force, and with Northwestern State getting really, really good, I think there's it's more of an even distribution of praise right now, and that's a good thing. And but yeah, we won the East Division my very first year coaching here, and I think everybody was like, it's the East, it ain't that hard. But it seemed like a really big deal to us. But yeah, I think with the new Southland, I think hopefully we'll get a little bit more credit. And it took a lot for us in Lamar and the schools that got hurt by Rita and the schools that got hurt by the hurricane in those couple of years. Just to keep going, showed a little bit of strength.
Readers will remember that between the time that Coach Fitzgerald was assistant here and come back, that in 2009, I got a lot of email from McNeese fans about trying to get Chanel Tyler, Nicole Bowden, and Sarah Carty, who the three of them had great seasons and were completely dismissed by the conference in all-conference voting 2 or 3 years in a row. So that's something that I just always felt like McNeese, people just never voted for you and just never recognized you. I saw a video that you did in here on your very first day of practice. And one of the things you said in that video was that you wanted to come in and use your team's strengths, build around what you had.
Right.
And you said that you had a lot of girls that were strong and you were going to hit it high and hit it hard. And with girls like Sanchez and Cagnina and Fryer, that seems like a good strategy. But I want to ask you, are you a more offensive-minded coach by trade or a more defensive-minded coach by trade?
I hate defense.
Everybody knows Debbie Humphreys is a defensive-minded coach.
No. One of my assistant coaches was a DS who played for me at Drury. Well, my grad assistant, Lauren, was. So, she handles a lot of that. And then my other assistant coach is a big blocking guy. I set in college. My favorite thing to train is middles. I love training middles, and I like doing setting. But, when it starts being defense time, my eyes just glaze over. But I get that it's important, and I like it. I just would prefer to go to Pound Town, Okay. So real offense versus defense for me, for sure.
Okay, so you've got a very offensive-minded club, and you inherited one when you came here. But that's your philosophy as a coach. It would be anyway to go out and recruit the big guns, the big arms.
Right, and Melina really doesn't fit that because she's 5'7". But like
Wait. Melina, when she was a freshman, she was listed at 5'9". You guys can go back and dig this up.
5'9".
And then she's listed at 5'8" now, and so now I'm hearing 5'7".
Maybe she's 5'8". I don't know, but she flies and she's a fan favorite. They all like watching her because it's different than watching Rachel or Amber Fryer hit. But we're running twos in the middle, and I'm sure Debbie knows that. But we're running higher balls in the middle, which hardly anyone does. Western Kentucky does it, and St. Mary's does it on the West Coast. But we're kind of trying to bring that here, which I've never done before. I've always liked going fast, but we're just trying to play counter to what everybody else is doing. And we have big old kids who can hit it, so it's worked pretty well from us. And we've been lucky that our kids adjust pretty well to playing faster teams. I've been really pleasantly surprised. We're doing a better job of defending, faster balls in the middle. Part of that's because we're tall, so even if we're late, we can just do that and catch up to it a little bit. But yeah, I think we're playing to our strengths, and our defense has gotten better. I was anticipating struggling on defense, and we're actually okay. We're getting better and better, so that's encouraging to see, and I think that'll help us take this next step.
Sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes when there's a coaching change, there's a rebuild in process, or there's a down season. But McNeese was in the conference tournament last year. McNeese finished 9-9.
Right.
The team hasn't finished over 500 in conference since you were here as an assistant. But how do you handle the situation where the team was already moving forward, yet acclimating back to the water as head coach? How do you use the strengths you had here and then keep the momentum going forward? Because you're not in a rebuild.
No, we're not in a rebuild, but we did lose Sophie Timbush, the big German kid. She came over here, and I guess the whole time her intention was to stay for 1 year and then go back to Germany. I don't know if Terry knew that or not, but so that was a big six rotation piece that we lost last year, and she would have actually fit in really, really well with our current offense. But you're right, it's not a rebuild. We have enough talent to be successful today. So, but I think about that Northwestern match where I think we played at full throttle about 90% of the time, and I think they played at full throttle about 92% of the time. So we're trying to develop that extra 2% of mental wherewithal and, just mental and emotional stability and focus and drive, and to be able to continue to play at a consistent level, whether up by 4 or down by 4. But physically, it's not a rebuild. We do want to improve. We want to keep recruiting better and better kids. But it's certainly not one of those situations, and I always think people are misguided when they come in and say, these aren't my kids or my team. Well, yeah, they are, because you are their coach. It is your job to make them as good as they can be, and these kids can be very good. So it is. It's exciting to come in here and to see what we have, and it's exciting that they've done such a great job of buying into what we want them to do.
Let's talk about some of those kids. We mentioned Melina Sanchez. We got a chance to talk to her last year in Corpus Christi at the conference tournament. She was just absolutely a delight to sit down and talk with. She's a hoot. But she's different, like you mentioned before. A lot of times you have big cannon arms and they don't wind up being six rotation players, or you have L2 types that can ball control but can't hit. And, Sanchez is one of those players, maybe one of the few players in our league that you almost expect every night to pull a double-double. So talk about both her offensive and her defensive contributions, because she's racked up several matches already with 15, 20 digs.
Right. Well, and she's played some right back some of these games, too, and usually gives me balls in right back. But very first weekend at FAU, she had like 26 digs playing right back defense. That's crazy, But, yeah, and it's been a real shift for Melina. I think our team really looks at her as a leader and as a do-everything. But, we came in here, and our pitch was, we love Melina. We want Melina to be good. But if Melina's taking the most swings on our team, and if we're running our offense through her, there's just so good we can be, And it's not a slight to her at all. It's just the rest of our team has to contribute. And we can't be afraid to set Rachel and Amber especially and just rely on Melina, because Melina makes fewer errors, but she also doesn't terminate the highest percentage, and she knows that. She's aware of that, and she also knows that she would have better numbers if we were running faster balls in the middles, but our middles wouldn't have as good numbers, and I think the aggregate of what we're doing right now is much better for our team. So she, offensively, she's probably not giving us as much. I know she's not taking nearly as many swings as she took last year, but the aggregate in total, we are better for it. And she's shown a lot of maturity on her part to be able to accept that and understand it and still be a leader and still fill a really valuable role for us. And we're really conscious as coaches I think Melina had a lot of pressure on her last year and also got the lion's share of affection and praise. And it's easy. I mean, she walks through our lobby sometimes, and the basketball coaches will say things like, "There comes your number one player." And it's like, oh, gosh, don't say that, because that is just, it drives a little bit of a wedge between her and the other kids. And she doesn't want that. She doesn't deserve that. And the other kids don't want that either. So, we've really tried to make her a real part of the team the whole time. Because she is. She wants to be, and she is. And she's a great kid and a great person to coach. But, having a little bit more of a offensive philosophy based around our whole team, rather than her, they trust each other more. She's doing she's doing great. I mean, I really am having a lot of fun coaching her, more than I thought I would have. Not that I was anticipating any trouble, but she's been a real joy.
And she'll be back. In fact, everybody that Coach Fitzgerald has on the club now, except senior Rachel Cagnino, will be back next year. Only one senior on this team, so for a team that's building forward, that's also a plus, that you've still got a lot of sophomores and juniors that are contributing. Let's talk about Rachel a little bit. When you came in and saw, she's going to be your lone senior, was there a moment where you kind of took her aside and talked to her about leadership as the only senior?
No. There wasn't. Rachel stayed all summer because she wants to be a lawyer. She graduates early, and she's starting, I think she's going to get a graduate degree too, or maybe go to law school in December, but she stayed all summer and worked out all summer. And there was something that happened between the spring and the fall. I don't know what happened, but she was already really good in the spring. But she's been such a calming force, and I never have to get on her. She understands what she knows probably better than anybody else what she is. She's a kid who hits the two, blocks pretty well, and she has 5 or 6 shots. And it's like, I will hit this shot. Oh, it didn't work. I will hit this shot. Oh, you dug it that time. I will go short. She just has a great understanding of what her job is to do. And, everybody says you can't score on the two. You can't score on the two. Well, she hits the two 90% of the time and is hitting like 320 or something for the year against big people, against little people. It doesn't matter. So she's played left. She's played right here. She's played 6 rotations. Now she's jump serving and playing in the middle. But no, I mean, I never really just came out and had that talk with her. She just kind of figured it out.
I couldn't finish this interview without asking you about your setter. 2 years ago, Kelly Graham came in as a freshman. She was the only starting freshman setter in the conference in 2012. And then last year, the club primarily went with Vanessa Bentley, who you still have. What did you see as you started to evaluate both those players? What did you see? I know that's something that people around the league have taken notice of, is that Graham is back to being the primary here in Lake Charles. What is it you saw in Kelly that made you think, that's the girl that I want to run this offense?
I think when you think about the top half of our team, they went through like a 5-25 season 2 years ago. And that's brutal. That's a big monkey on your back that is hard to shake off, We were lucky that we got 2 setters who would both have playing experience, So whatever happens, we're going to be fine, and we're going to be successful because they can both do it. The number one thing I like about Kelly is she's a tremendous manager of people. I feel like when we play out there for a team that doesn't have a ton. I mean, we were over 500 last year, but it's not like we've experienced winning, and just driving people on the ground and handling it. But she's very calm. She manages people. She's tall. She's left-handed. She blocks and she attacks. Right up until the day before we played, it was like 50-50 who were going to play, Vanessa or Kelly, because Vanessa's defense is very, 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 very good. And Vanessa is fast, and she's got a good serve, and she does lots of things really, really well. But it really was at the 12th hour, we were like, well, I'm feeling like it's 50.1% Kelly and 49.9% Vanessa. Let's go with Kelly. And I just think Kelly's done a great job. So there's no reason to change it. And I think as her confidence grows, she's just doing awesome. And this is an offense that she can run. She can take the ball really high. She can distribute the two. She can distribute the slide. Nothing's too complicated. And she's got really good hands and really good attacking numbers. I'm pretty sure she's still over a kill a game and still over 200.
The only setter in the conference over kill a game.
Right. Yeah, and she blocks really well too. So I mean, I really like her management skills. I like, you look out there and you get on Kelly and she just looks at it and goes, okay, and then goes out there and relays it. And nobody gets weird and nobody gets frantic. And she's a year older than Vanessa. She's got a few more of those skills. But both of them have been great, and it's nice having really capable people on both sides of the net. A lot of teams just have one, and we have 2.
And finally, Coach, you know, you talked about the East and the West setup that we used to have when
Right.
you're here as an assistant and we don't have anymore. I think several people have been feeling the sort of parity around the Southland Conference coming for the last several years, and I think maybe we're seeing the culmination of it now. I mean, we saw you guys really put on a nice show with a match that I know everybody here feels like you could have and should have won against Northwestern State. We saw Southeastern Louisiana take down the Islanders the other night. We saw New Orleans take a set off of UCA. So, what did and Abilene Christian to 5 on the other night against UCA. So, you know, you look at those clubs and you think, well, some of those clubs were back half of the conference teams last year. But do you sort of feel that? And you talk to your girls about the fact that on any given night, anybody in this conference can beat anybody else in this conference?
Well, I got on to him after we lost to Northwestern, or during that fifth set. Like, this is the only chance you get. It's not like we're going double round. We go double round with 4 teams. Everybody else, you just get one shot. You know, against Stephen F. today, we got one shot. That's it. So we really got to take the most of those opportunities. And it's interesting, too, looking at the big grid of who plays who twice. Right. That's going to mean some big stuff, I think, in November. Some teams, it seems like, haven't seen everybody play, but have a little bit easier roads than other teams. So you could have a team who's probably second or third in the league end up with a 4th or 5th seed. Right. So that is interesting. And I don't like how we're not playing our geographic rivals. I wish we could play Northwestern twice, and I wish we could play Lamar twice. It burns me up we're not doing that. But well,
the scheduling is kind of weird. I mean, I remember Debbie and I talking about this a couple years ago whenever the new teams came in. You know, the conference was really looking at strange scheduling. And with Oral Roberts out, we're kind of in this flux, you know. I mean, do you guys have this deal where you've got we've got a situation we're going to have like 8 homestands in a row.
Yes.
And then next year we're going to be out on the road during conference play for almost a whole month.
Right. I don't think we're hosting a tournament next year. We may, but I don't think we are. And that would put us, if we don't find a midweek match, not playing home till like October 3rd or 4th. That's crazy. And then, you know, the outlier teams, a lot of them are having to change their schedules or try to adjust a set here and there. Because, like, Incarnate Word's supposed to go to New Orleans and then go back home, and then 2 days later come back to us. That's crazy. Yeah, and you know, you got to pick your poison. Do you want to stay in a hotel and have your kids miss more school, or do you want to probably pay more to drive back and come back and probably be at a disadvantage competitively?
Last thing, what are you doing as you've come back? I know I saw that you guys have redone floor. I heard that some of the girls and yourself and your staff worked yourself on that floor.
Did.
But what are you doing here on the McNeese campus? What are some of your visions for how to make McNeese volleyball more visible here on the McNeese State campus?
That's a good question. Well, I think if we win, more people will come. Right. And we already are the #1 fan-attended or student-attended event on campus outside of football. So we get more students than baseball or softball or soccer. And that's because it's indoor and, you know, Thursday night. I like the Thursday night. People still come to that. I think that's a good thing. I don't like how it hits my pocketbook having to go Thursday and Saturday, but I like a good Thursday night match. I think it's really good. You know, McNeese is also building a new volleyball basketball facility, and that's supposed to be done in 3 to 4 years. We'll be playing in the basketball practice facility, which is kind of similar to y'all's setup. But, you know, that'll be nice. Joe Dumars was in town last week, so I think we're all hoping that Joe helps out somehow with that. But the money's already there, so it will get done. It's just a matter of when it will get done. But, you know, I think that will make us more visible, and it takes us across the street from where we currently are, which is right next to the quad in the center of campus and right across from the student dorms. So it'll be interesting to see if people will walk across the block. But I think they will because we're not that big. We're not nearly as big as you guys are. But that and just winning and recruiting kids who are social and like to interact and like to do things and building fans person by person.
All right, fans, head coach Ashleigh Fitzgerald and McNeese State Cowgirls. Keep an eye on McNeese. I think they're a team that could be a dark horse and could cause some trouble. And I think we'll see them over in Natchitoches at the conference tournament again. Head coach Fitzgerald, thanks for being able to sit down and chat with us for a bit.
Thank you. This was so fun. I'm going to have to check out the
I'm glad you enjoyed it.